Hey everybody, welcome to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. We're the show that asks a panel of experts the questions you want to know. So let's get ready to hear what they have to say. All right, everyone, welcome back. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Brian DeVore. Brian, great to see you again.
You too.
So we're talking off air about your show, The Brian DeVore Connection. Tell me a little bit more about that. When did you start it and what got you going on this?
Yeah, so I started this in March of 2022. I felt there's a disconnect between lots of great people who do a lot of great things for the people in San Diego,
Right.
and obviously a lot of people in San Diego who need resources and information. And so I wanted to connect them together, hence the name Brian DeVore Connection.
That makes a lot of sense. So when we're connecting with community, what kind of guests are you having on to be able to support our community?
Yeah, so there's, like I said, there's a lot of great people doing a lot of great things. And so we have local nonprofits like Serving Seniors and Elder Help. I have estate planning attorneys who talk about, tips and tricks about putting together the right trust and so forth. I have financial planners. I have home care companies. A lot of the people I bring on are people that regular people like you and I, they need at some point in their lives, but they don't know how to find them necessarily. So just trying to build a library of resources and knowledge that people can access real quick at their fingertips. I need a home care company. Look, go to thebriandevoreconnection.com and you'll be able to see 5 or 6 different home care companies, what they're about. You're not just trusting a Google search or just reading a piece of paper. You're really getting an idea of what this person's really about.
That real content. Now say that again. Where exactly, when does it come out? Where can people find it if they want to see this? Because I think there's a lot of great resources here.
Yeah, absolutely. So thebriandevoreconnection.com is the website. It actually goes to my YouTube channel. It's on my YouTube channel. It's on Facebook and LinkedIn. Every Thursday at 4 o'clock, a new episode airs. Wonderful. So people can expect a new episode at that time. I'm excited because it's now a podcast. So you can go to Spotify or wherever you find your podcast. People can go there. We have our library already. We have, I think, like 50 or 60 episodes so far.
Oh, wow. You've
loaded
already got
up.
tons.
Yeah. So we've got a great library. We're always adding more. Again, every week we're going to have a new guest, some new content, some new resources to make that connection for people.
What a great thing. What a great show. Brian, thanks so much for sharing that with us. I really appreciate you being here. And everybody, please tune in. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Woody Henderson. Woody, great to see you again.
Well, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So, everybody, our question is really about the market. Woody, I know you do real estate all over San Diego and specifically in North County, Carlsbad, Oceanside. What are you seeing out there on the market?
Well, we've got a protracted low inventory situation here in San Diego County with only 2,500 active listings on the market. It's incredibly low. Pre-pandemic at this time of the year, we would typically see 10,000 active listings or more. So we've got about 25% of the inventory we would normally expect to have.
Crazy numbers.
So what we're seeing out in the field on a daily basis, things really picked up in March. We've had kind of a cool winter, but what we're seeing is homes that are priced well and show well are selling incredibly fast. Our average market time this year on our team is 8 days. So we're selling homes in 8 days.
Wow.
Yes.
So it sounds like what you're saying is if you have the right agent, you have the right property priced well, showing well, it's going to be a great thing for a seller. But talk to me about your buyers. What are you telling the buyers that you're working with when they're getting out there in this market?
So with our buyers, we're seeing that they're entering into a competition somewhat like what we saw during the pandemic. And we may not be competing with 20 other buyers, but we are competing with 3 or 4.
Right.
And so we've developed a 9-step process where if our buyers take our advice, they're almost guaranteed to get their offer accepted in the
Talk to me
competition.
about that process, that 9-step process you said. Without giving away too many secrets, just give me some highlights.
Without giving away the secret sauce.
Right. Right.
So it starts with a market analysis. What's the real value of this home? So we go do our homework and look at the numbers. What are the comps? What price will the market support?
Okay.
The next thing that we do is pre-negotiate. I pick up the phone and I call the other agent and I say, hey, what do you need? What are you looking for? What does the seller hope to accomplish?
Right.
Now I've got intelligence to put together an offer where we can take the needs of the buyer and the seller and dovetail those together. So
Makes sense.
it becomes a triple win.
Picking up the phone sounds like a lost art in today's real estate, but
I'm amazed at how few agents answer their phones, to be honest with you. But that's a key. I call it pre-negotiation. It's establishing a relationship with the other agent, because we're going to be working together for at least the next 15 to 30 days, depending on how long that escrow period
That's
is.
right.
And we'll have a lifelong relationship.
It sounds like basic, but such good advice. So I really appreciate all your feedback, talking about both the market and some, not giving away the full secret sauce, but from some tips for success. So Woody, thanks so much for joining us here on Market Movers. Everyone, make sure you stay tuned, and thanks for joining us. Hey everyone, welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Jonathan Cohen Kurzrock. How you doing?
Perfect.
Did
Yeah,
I
that
say
was
it
really
right?
well done. Yeah.
Listen, those of us who have been doing real estate a long time, we appreciate those realtors who are doing it really well. And if you can't say their name right, then you are not doing it right. No, Jonathan, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And I wanted to talk, we were talking a little bit off the air about the specifics about what makes a good realtor in this market, especially in this market. You were telling me there are 6 top reasons that your realtor that you choose should have. What are those 6?
Yeah, I believe there's 6 quality, 6 aspects to a realtor that are really important for you to have. And the very first one, or I guess I'll throw it back at you. What do you think? Just if you had to choose number 1, what do you think it would be?
You need to have a beard or have had a beard in the last 6 months. What do you think?
Yeah, that's it. Segment over. We're good to go. A beard, or like you said earlier, dreamy eyes.
No,
there we go.
I'm joking, and seriously, we're joking because we're talking about, again, off the air, what are the things that we used to have, because we want to be well dressed, we want to be well presented, and you talked about how you recently just shaved off your beard, and again, you look beautiful. So, but tell me what are the 6 best things that a realtor needs to have?
So the very first one I'm going to say is relationship building. And I think these are going to be different perspective. Like for a client, they might want something different from you. But this is like, if you want to be like a successful realtor in this business, these are the 6 steps. These are the 6 qualities I think you should have. The first one being relationship building. As you get further along in your career, and I've been doing this for about 5.5 years now, you really learn that who you know. I mean, it's said all the time, it's cliche, who you know is more important than what you know. And I think what you know is also extremely important. It's actually my number 3. But who you know, as you get farther, as you're trying to work deals, if you know the other realtor on the other side, they're going to choose your offer over the others. If you're looking for off markets, I haven't verified this number, but I was told like 18% of deals happen off market, which is pretty massive. 1/5 of the deals that happen is off market. And that's all based on who you know. Realtors wanting to work with other people that they've worked with before, having investment opportunities. So at a higher level, it's really that relationship building, not only with your clients, but with other people within the industry.
Right. The top 3 things you just said is building a relationship or having good relationships goes right into who you know, not what you know. But number 3, hey, what you know, right?
Yes. But before we get to number 3, I would say number 2, and this is like a lot of people see a realtor's job as sales, but honestly, on the back end, what we say is prospecting. Prospecting, I would say, is the number 2 most important quality for a realtor. If you don't hunt, you don't eat.
Right.
And it's important for the realtor, to have sustainability over a lifetime of their career. And if you want to actually be running a business instead of just trying to figure out what you're doing every day and being afraid of for your next paycheck. But it's also, I think, important for the client side. If you have someone who's actively prospecting all the time, for sellers, it's going to only behoove them because you're the one that's door knocking that entire neighborhood. You're the one that has sent mailers to every single house in that community for the last year. You're the one that knows people who are looking in that area and are going to be able to get them your home in front of more eyes.
Not just an area expert, but you know the people in the area, the houses available in the area, what's going on in the area. So it's not just geographic, it's also personal relationship as well.
Exactly. Nice. And that naturally leads us to like number 3, which is product knowledge. And in real estate, there's a lot of product. So you should know about, and this is all stuff that, I mean, to try to learn it all at the beginning, it's just going to be overwhelming. But over the lifetime in a career, it's what you get to learn. The first thing is like, you should know what's a house. And that seems silly, but like it's knowing about the different aspects of a home, right? From the flooring to the roofing to everything that could happen inside. That's going to provide you a lot more knowledge during inspections, during the process. And that's actually the next one, knowing the process of how a sale works, because that's what you're guiding your clients through. And then it's going to be knowing the contracts and knowing the implications of the contracts.
That's huge. Knowing the contract, especially it changes all the time. If you don't have any knowledge on that, you're going to be in trouble. Your clients are going to be in trouble.
Exactly. And then the last one I would say is like knowing what we said earlier, knowing the area. And so there's a lot of stuff to learn in real estate. And there's a lot of different aspects in real estate. You could be an investor, you could be doing 1031 exchanges, you could just be a first-time home buyer, if you're selling. There's a lot of different aspects, and you don't have to learn all of them. You can just stay in one lane, but it's important to start learning each lane.
I love it. That's a great detailed breakdown of 6 most important things that a realtor needs to know. Jonathan, I appreciate you coming on here. Everybody, thanks for joining us. You heard it here first. Tune in, and we'll see you next week. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Jack Campbell. Jack, how we doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Yeah,
So, Jack, thanks for being on. I really appreciate it. You have been a staple in the real estate industry here in San Diego for a while, but what I really want to ask you is, tell me about that first transaction. Tell me about how that went.
Yeah, well, first off, real estate for me didn't start in San Diego. Okay. I actually was in Huntington Beach. While I was in high school, I was 18 years old, decided I was going to go get my real estate license. Okay. And so I popped into the real estate business, as green as you can be at 18 years old, right out of high school. And funny as it could be, at 18, you don't really get too many opportunities, right? Not a lot of people take you real seriously when they think about buying a few $100,000 house. And back then, it used to be a few hundred. I mean, now we're up into the millions. But that being said, I hosted, what felt like probably 100 open houses, right? Trying to find somebody who would trust this little kid to handle the real estate transaction. It was 1992. It was about 30 years ago. And anyhow,
seems like time flies, huh? That was just 30 years ago. That was 5 minutes ago.
Her name was Beverly, and I can't remember her. It started with an M, Beverly M. Don't remember the last name, but it's interesting. The moment that it happened, like she walked in, she toured in an open house. We started talking. She acknowledged immediately that, look, you're a kid. You don't know what you're doing. I'm going to give you a shot, right?
Wow.
And I remember her looking at me, and I'm like, this one's going to give me a shot. Like everybody else, I'm pursuing, chasing, and nobody's returning calls. They don't want to work with a kid, right? Somebody who doesn't know anything about real estate. So anyhow, so I started working with her, and we were in Huntington Beach at an open house. And before I know it, we were touring homes out in Anaheim. We were out in Fullerton.
North Orange County, yeah.
Then we were pushing out into Corona, right? I live in Huntington Beach. This is like 45 minutes to show.
45 to 55 to the 91. Wow.
Yes. We ended up after seeing about 35 homes from Huntington on different days. We took probably, literally 30 or more trips to go see homes out in Lake Elsinore, out in Corona, to eventually to Wildomar. We found this newer construction community at the time out in Wildomar. And I remember touring that house with her because as soon as she walked in, the prices, as we go further out, the prices get, they were declining. And so it was affordable for her, and we knew that. And she walked in, saw the floor plan, and she looks at me as she walked through the threshold, no joke. And she says, this is the one.
This is the one, yeah.
I'm not sure if she loved the house or if she was just completely worn out from searching, but whatever it was, I was really obviously excited. I'm like, this is my first sale. Right. So then, of course, now I have to figure out how to write a real estate contract, right? So
it gets better.
Yeah, it gets better. So I go back to my broker and start having a conversation with him. And needless to say, she didn't actually qualify for financing. She had spoken with a lender, didn't have an actual formal pre-approval, but I didn't know at the time how to vet the process. Right. So it's interesting, to have gone through all these series of these mistakes that you make in the real estate business, right? Mm-hmm. To go through this process at 18 years old and realize, there really is a lot to this. It's not just opening doors for houses or, helping clients. It's coaching and consulting through all these different nuances. Today, I would have gotten her to that end result in probably 4 to 5 houses, rather than having to show 30 to help her evolve to that point. Right. So it's just interesting looking back and reflecting on how different it was, that experience versus, the experience that I get to help clients with today.
That's huge. And to bring it back for everybody, understand that number one, 30 to 35 houses. A lot of agents show a lot of homes to a client before they buy, but back then it was with a Thomas guide because there's going to be no navigator. Wait, that's right.
It was actually with a book.
And for those of us who know Orange County, Wildomar is a little bit far from Huntington Beach. It's not close. Corona's a little far. Anaheim's a little far from Huntington Beach.
Yes.
So you were definitely exploring the entire county and then some. And then lastly, those timeless things that we hear all the time, but people don't know in the beginning if they're a newer agent, like make sure they have pre-approval or vetting it. That's some great
There's a difference between pre-approvals.
Right.
You know, not all pre-approvals are equal. You know, what steps have been done, and then, you know, which home should you be showing and which shouldn't you? I mean, what questions should you be asking to save the client time of having to go look at something that they're just going to be disappointed with?
It's a great way to contrast those who have been doing it for a couple minutes for those who've been doing it for a little while.
Yeah.
So, Jack, thanks so much for being on and telling everybody your first time in real estate. Really glad you were here today. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Hey, everybody, welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Jim McInerney. Jim, great to see you again.
Great to be here. Thanks, Jason.
So, we talked a lot about doing high-end and complex deals, and you've been in the business for a little bit of time now. What's your take when advising clients on high-end or complex deals like 1031s, trust sales, exchanges? Talk to me about that.
It's a good question. I give people general terms and advice, and then I make sure that they contact their own CPA or tax attorney or 1031 specialists. I may give them 2 or 3 that they can go talk to, deferred sales trust specialists, because there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of tax liability. And as an agent, you really don't want to be out in the wind giving millions and millions of dollars of financial movement without the client independently verifying with their own team. Right. And I'm happy to coordinate. I'm happy to be on calls, you know, with them, but ultimately the client has to satisfy themselves and have done their own due diligence.
So a lot of the feedback I'm hearing from you is that even though you have been doing this for quite a long time, you have so much experience with all these types of complex transactions, it's important for a buyer or seller to independently verify and get those important pieces as a part of their transaction.
100%.
And you talked to me before about liability. Talk to me more about how you're able to avoid liability in that kind of transaction.
Well, one is to have documentation, written, email, text, that you've advised your client to speak to their tax attorney, that you've advised them to reach out to so-and-so at 1031 Exchange. I always try to give multiple referrals, so it's not just one, so it doesn't appear slanted that I want them to use somebody like that. And there's so much changing in the tax law and even the 1031 law. It seemed like it was the same and the same and the same, but then with all the wildfires, they started giving extensions in California for the 1031, which I didn't know about until another client brought it to my attention. So to have the latest and greatest info, they should always be speaking to their individual consultants.
Got it. And I really appreciate the information that you've laid out here because, again, working with an agent who knows exactly how to handle a complex transaction, but more importantly, knows the people and the tools on how to set their clients up for success is what's going to make a transaction overall be a financial benefit.
Yeah, you know, in the higher end markets, there's a lot of extra people involved. Typically attorneys, CPAs, tax attorneys, deferred sales trust, 1031. You could be moving multiple properties, selling multiple properties. The tax liabilities involved with selling your primary residence and how long have you been in there. It's a lot. But if you have a good team and your client is independently verifying and satisfying themselves with the information, then you're safe.
This is how we protect our clients. This is how we save them millions of dollars.
Yep.
Jim, thanks so much for being on. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Randy Castle. Randy, good to see you again.
Good to be back. Thank you.
So we are talking about all things investment opportunities. And for those of you who don't know, Randy is not only a licensed realtor here in San Diego, but she's also licensed in Arizona.
Yes.
And what we talked about a little bit off air is what a wonderful time to get opportunities to purchase investment properties out of state. So, Randy, talk to us a little bit about how you're helping clients purchase investment opportunities in Arizona.
So a lot of people that I've come into contact with, they're like, properties might be a little bit expensive here in San Diego. I know the rents are high. Do you have any other areas that are, maybe it's a little bit cheaper for me to invest, but the rents are still a little bit higher. Absolutely. So I'm going to make that income that I'm looking to subsidize my income with. And a good thing with that too is they can possibly, and I tell them, you can possibly work it so that somebody else pays off your property and then you have somewhere to go and retire.
Rentals are quite a good thing. You're absolutely right. I will tell you one fun fact about places like Arizona where you're licensed.
Yes.
One of the most landlord-friendly states in the nation, definitely more landlord-friendly than California. That's why so many people want to buy there. It's not the only reason, but talk to me about what you've been working with out there in Arizona, kind of whereabouts and what you're seeing.
So in Arizona, you're absolutely right. And I wouldn't say that it's more landlord-friendly. I would say it's balanced. It is completely balanced. So the tenants have their rights and the landlords have their rights, and they are not taken away from either party. So having that balance is crucial. And, a lot of people go, well, what with COVID, what with this, what with 30 days or what with 60 days? Why do I have to pay them a month's rent? You don't have any of that in Arizona. If you want your house back, you give them a 30-day notice and they give you your house back. And that's, kind of the way that it's supposed to work a little bit,
That's why it's such a great investment area opportunity. So tell me, just price-wise, what you're seeing here in San Diego versus what you're seeing with your investment opportunities in Arizona.
Definitely. So here in San Diego, as we know, our median price point is all the way up in the 900s, and medium price point, if you're looking in Arizona, you can get a really good house for under $5. Wow. So, if you're picking something up for under $5 versus 900, imagine what that monthly payment is going to be for you. However, in Arizona, they also have almost the same rental market as we do as well. So you're still getting the high rents that are there. I have a listing right now that's up in the mountains, and there's a 1-year wait list even to get into an apartment in this city that I'm talking about. So if you were to pick up a property, buy a house there and rent it out, you could literally buy it, hold it, and have somebody else pay that off for you and have somewhere to go and retire afterwards, which would be, what everybody wants to do. Or you can Airbnb it. They don't have a lot of the same laws and regulations here in San Diego. So if you were looking for, maybe I want to have a home that's over in Arizona that I can go visit for a couple months out of the year, but, I want to bounce back and forth in between, you could definitely do that and have yourself, either a second home or a retirement property, or, even if you just wanted the flat out income from it.
Long-term rental.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Randy, what a wonderful opportunity for not our community, but our clients to be able to purchase in an area where they can afford a property a lot more than here. So thanks so much for giving us all that information. Everybody, remember, Randy's not only licensed here in San Diego, but also in Arizona. Yes. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned next week. We'll see you then. Welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Jeff Liao. Jeff, great to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
So Jeff and I were chatting about the snow and all things powder, but getting it back to the show and real estate, the market's been really tough lately. And so, Jeff, talk to me about what are we telling our buyers who are having trouble getting a home right now?
Yeah. Our team over at the Luminaria Group Homes and Estates, we have a lot of clients who are looking to, purchase right now, a lot of buyers. Right. Market inventory is still really, really low. And so what I'm often conveying to my clients through communication is be patient and persevere, right? And don't make a rash decision on a property, especially such a large financial investment in a property that you're not head over heels for. Wait for the right one, or allow our team to be able to serve you and find the right one for you.
That makes sense. Talk to me about, especially with a first-time home buyer, they have so much anxiety. You subscribe to that thinking about, like, how do you really know the right homes for them? How do you help them, cross that threshold?
Yeah. So, our team qualifies all the buyers that we have. right? We ask them very in-depth questions in terms of what's most important. Give me your top 3 favorites, right? How long do you see yourself in the home for? And then from there, we come up with a strategy and game plan to identify what may be the right neighborhood for them to be concentrating their efforts on. And once we do that, that's kind of how we guide our buyers through the process, versus just, spending countless hours and time and gas money, driving through around San Diego County, looking at properties where the moment they walk in, they're like, this sucks. I don't like this. Right?
Yeah, I think we were talking about, spending 35 minutes in traffic on a Thursday, on a Tuesday, on a Friday, especially at gas prices. It's just not going to work, and it's not going to work for your buyers. Give me a strategy that your team is employing once you find that hyper-local market to help that buyer secure property.
I mean, one thing we pride ourselves on is the relationships we have, right? Not only with other local realtors, but also the relationships that we have with other affiliates. And so we pride ourselves on relationships. What we do then is leverage our relationships, be in conversation with the other agents who do business in the area and say, hey, what do you have coming on? And oftentimes that potentially leads into an off-market deal where we don't have to just sit back and wait for something to pop up on the MLS. But in addition to that, we also proactively farm those particular neighborhoods.
Okay.
Right? We door knock, we send out mailers, we look at data in terms of home ownership and potentially cross qualify or qualify a potential seller and reach out to them and see if they would be considering selling.
What a great way to actually do work for your client versus, like I think I'd heard you say before, just waiting for that drip to come in and on the MLS, and then there's a home that has 7 other offers, right?
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate your feedback. I know for a lot of anxious buyers out there, that is really the information they needed to know to be able to go out there with confidence. Thanks for being here with me today. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Hey everybody, welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Cade Silva. Cade.
Thanks for having me.
Hey man, great to have you here.
Always a pleasure.
So we were talking off air, Cade and I, about, it's so important to work with people that are local. All right. And I know you focus heavily on the La Jolla market. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about why it's so important there in the La Jolla Enclave that you've got to use a local realtor.
Yeah, there's a couple different reasons why, One is relationships. I can call just about anyone in La Jolla and they know who I am. And it opens up opportunities for off-market listings. If you're working with someone that doesn't necessarily specialize in La Jolla or know the La Jolla market and the players in the market, you're going to lose out on a lot of these opportunities that only a handful of agents know. I can show most clients, I'll show 3 to 5, 7, 8. I've showed over 10 off-market properties to clients before who I've met at open houses. They've been looking for a year and a half, and then I place them in a home within 3 to 5 months of working with them, most of the time off-market properties.
That's huge because I just saw a stat on off-market. It says 1 in 5 homes are sold off-market. So if you're working local and you have all that knowledge, you're more likely to get a client a property. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Especially with low inventory, it's so important right now to be able to find those off-market properties. Another one, too, is you have to know the area because there's some areas that have bad soil, some that just don't hold the value the same as the other. So having someone who acts more as an advisor versus a real estate agent is key when you're trying to spend millions of dollars and invest it, because most of these people, they're looking at it as an investment. They want to see a return on their investment. And if you go into a property and your agent didn't know, okay, this is a landslide zone, it's a hillside failure zone, et cetera, you're putting your money at risk.
Absolutely. And I'm assuming that 90% of the agents that work San Diego don't exclusively do business in La Jolla. Talk to me about how much business and how long you've been working the La Jolla market.
Yeah, I've been in La Jolla for about 6 years. And I would say 75 to 80% of my business is done in La Jolla, with transactions ranging between 1.5 to, I have a listing coming up for 18 million in a couple months. So I'm all within the ranges. I have off markets. You tell me what you're looking for. I guarantee you I can show you 2 to 4 off markets in the first 2 weeks.
I love it. I love it. Hey, you heard it here first, why you need to work with a realtor who knows and is an expert in that local area. Kate, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Everyone else, stay tuned next week, and we'll see you then. Hey everybody, welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss, and I'm here with Tyler Matthews. Tyler?
Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah, man, good to see you
Fun
too.
to be here, always.
So we were chatting off air about, some of the listings you've had recently, but we were talking specifically about what are the things that you like to see your clients doing before they list the home.
Yeah, absolutely. And this comes from having listed a lot of properties, but also being in homes every single day with my buyers and seeing what not to do. But really eliminating distractions. So one of the first things somebody can do is declutter. And it seems like a lot of people understand this, but they really don't go to that extreme that they need to. So our goal when a buyer walks into your house is to picture themselves living there and not even think for 1 second who lives here, who are they, what do they do for work, do they have kids? So making the house as like neutral as possible, removing family photos, all the personal little clutter stuff, like start packing. Like it's a great time to kind of pre-pack, get some boxes of all your personal stuff in there, all your family photos and stuff like that. So when we say declutter, that's what we mean. We want people to picture themselves living there, not you.
I like that. Start packing.
Yep.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
You're right. Get the tchotchkes out.
Totally.
Start to minimize.
Yeah.
Great. So, okay, what
Yep.
else?
Secondly, I would say deep clean. And that seems pretty obvious again. Like, yeah, our house should be clean, but I can't tell you how many homes we go in that are not clean. They're not deep cleaned. And it's really distracting. As much as you would think a buyer will just be looking at the house, the size of the rooms, the yard, there's nothing like it being dirty and distracting, and the carpets and things like that just really kind of like, it's that first impression thing. That whole first impression matters. And so a deep clean can be great. The third thing I would say, and I have a really cool personal testimony, like just recently had a client take me up on this, and we did a pre-home inspection. And it gives buyers so much confidence to see that the home was pre-inspected. All these little things were taken care of. You can have an invoice sitting there showing what you spent to get all the little things dialed in. And this last one, the buyer didn't even do a home inspection because they were so confident that our pre-home inspection was done very well and all these little things were taken care of. And it allowed them to stay in the deal longer and close escrow on the first try, which was great. So that's the one thing. Yeah.
What a great
pre-home
idea.
inspection.
Pre-home inspection.
Yeah.
What a great idea to be able to know what a professional licensed inspector is going to call out about your home that you can take care of ahead of time and show
Absolutely.
a buyer. Wow, that's
It works.
great. That's great. That's great. Well, Tyler, thanks so much for joining us. That information was amazing. And for everybody out there, make sure you follow Tyler on Instagram and social media. And everybody else, we'll see you here next week.
Thanks so much.
Welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason Yoss. I'm here with Frank Granis. Frank?
Jason, thank you for having me.
Hey, man, it's great to see you again. Look, we were talking off air about all the things that, buyers and sellers do when buying or selling a home. But tell me this. What's the biggest mistake you see buyers making when they're going to purchase a home?
I would say the single biggest mistake that buyers make is not involving myself or someone else, another agent, in the process as early as possible.
So you see them, going to open houses, looking on Zillow, well before they're actually getting an agent. So they tend to, miss the home they want to buy?
Yeah, exactly right. It just becomes a blur. You need to call me because I can help you with, the financing. I can get you connected with people because a lot of times people, they wind up looking at homes they can't even afford.
Really?
Or they look at a house that they can afford and then they see work that might need to be done and think, oh my gosh, I can't take that on. And I can bring, I have people I'm connected with all day long who different contractors and such. They can look at that house, actually go on the visit with us and say, hey, you know what? No, you could do that.
That's huge because I totally agree. I'm one of those people that have a tough time visualizing
Me
what a
too.
finished product would be. Having a resource like a general contractor or someone who can at least give that buyer an idea of no, this is really what it can look like.
Yeah, and the other thing, separate from that, is if you involve myself in the real estate process, I can guide you along. There might be some off-market properties. Right. There might be a seller that I'm already connected with who's looking, you guys already match, and you don't know it if you're just on the line, kind of, okay, honey, we're going to go to this open house. It doesn't hurt.
I would agree. And I heard a stat, and this probably speaks directly to what you're saying. Something like almost 20% of properties bought and sold are off market. So there's almost 1 in 5 homes that if you don't have an agent, you may miss out.
Right. Exactly. So I get it. Sometimes people have to buy literally like next week. I've had it happen. Or some people know they're not going to, might be 2 years even, but get me involved. We'll keep the conversation going. So that's the biggest thing.
I love it, Frank. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate that feedback. I know our community does as well. And everyone else out there, make sure you tune in next week. Thank you again. We'll see you soon. Hey everybody, welcome back to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm here with Miguel. Miguel, thanks for being on again.
Jason, thank you for having me.
Of course. So we've been talking a little bit about the state of the market and specifically growing San Diego. Tell me a little bit about what your perspective and what you've been learning here over the last couple of weeks.
So as we all know, and for the last at least 12 months or more, we've had the major issue with San Diego in real estate is the lack of inventory. Right. There isn't enough. That has not caused a huge inflation because of the interest rates. Interest rates went up, so affordability went down. So that kind of put things in somehow of a balanced equilibrium for now. But the stress is there. There isn't enough housing in San Diego. We just came back from a meeting with the city and the county planning officials, and they presented to us their plans of multiple different areas. It's interesting because they, how they say, well, this is a Claremont plan. There's a plan for different now micro areas within San Diego that they each have their unique challenges. And they did present that in combination, of course, with transportation, public transportation, and traffic. So it's clear that there's many, for example, the Marina District, which is Marina goes parallel to the 5. It's just a bunch of kind of warehousing, some restaurant, but not very well developed, and that could be a great place for mixed use of businesses down below and housing on top, and like that there's a lot of places in San Diego right now. So the plan is there, the need is there. They even said, because we were always complaining, say, yeah, but when we submitted a project, I mean, we're doing a house in the border of Pacific Beach and La Jolla, and it's been a year that we've been waiting for the last approval. So you guys, there's demand, but it just takes you forever to review our plans.
How many houses are actually getting developed or built each year here in San Diego?
Well, last year they said it was about 1,000 houses, which is
1,000.
That's what on the city, which it's
not
nothing.
enough. It's not enough, right?
So that was our and of course they have employment. They need more employees there, and good qualified employees. It's not like somebody you could just hire in and they can just immediately get. They need to know have deep knowledge of San Diego and the dynamics and everything else. They have to know how to deal with neighbors. They admitted, we need to start thinking. The planner said this. We need to start thinking more, as the developers do as well, to combine both needs and both challenges into a more of a successful development. And we will always have those who do not want growth. Right. Well, I know there's enough there's housing lack, but not in my neighborhood.
No traffic in my neighborhood.
So then that's where you go into, that's where the counties comes in right now. There's a lot of land, there's a lot of opportunities in the county, and not people think, well, that's too far. No, the thing is to create those opportunities at that area so that people don't have to drive into San Diego and back every day.
Right. How are you taking this information and applying it specifically to your business and your clients?
Well, of course, there's still, oddly enough, and now with the banking situation going on right now, there's still a lot of money out there. Right. And it's our job to inform and to guide our clients who are developers and investors into other opportunities. Where's the city focusing? Where are they going to change a little bit the housing? Where are they going to allow a height to go from 35 feet to double? Those type of things we need to bring up to them so that they can inquire, and then we can start doing some early purchases before the word spreads out too much. And so knowledge is very important right now.
Knowledge is key.
Yeah.
It's so amazing that there probably aren't a lot of realtors out there who have this kind of knowledge, and it's great that you're able to facilitate this for your clients and our community. So Miguel, thanks so much for being here. Everyone else, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. All right, everybody, that wraps it up. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you tune in next week to San Diego Market Movers. A special thanks to our sponsors, Everything Creative Design, 5 Star Escrow, and Golden West Management. I know I can mean it. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.